In this video, I'll show you how you can replace the sky in one image with the sky from another. You might want to do this in cases where you have an overcast day. This image is kind of gloomy because the sky is more or less opaque. Over here we have a nice blue sky, and our goal is to get this sky into this image. We'll do it with color range. It's relatively easy. Select both images by holding down the Shift key and selecting them both, and then double-click either image to open it in Camera Raw. Choose Select All, and then click Open Images to transfer them into Photoshop. So let's begin in this image, which has the overcast sky. Go to the Select menu and choose Color Range. Click somewhere in the sky to establish one color as your sample. This graphic down here shows us what would be selected. Anything that's white will be fully selected, anything that's black will not be selected, and shades of gray are partially selected. Click here to add to the sample, and then drag over the whole sky to add all of these colors to the selection. Drag all over here to get everything that's in the clouds and in the sky to add to this selection. Here we have the fuzziness slider. If you drag that up too far, you're going to be selecting some of the building. Drag that down until what we see is mostly a silhouette, but not down so far that part of the sky starts to deselect. So somewhere in this range looks pretty good. Click OK, and you've made a selection. However, you'll see from these so-called marching ants that we have some areas that are selected down here that obviously aren't part of the sky. These are the brightest areas of the image. And now we need to remove them from the selection. Use the lasso tool for this, and select this button to subtract from selection. Then make a lasso around anything that's blinking down here in the building area. And that's going to remove these areas from the selection. There might be some down here too. Okay, I think that's more or less correct. We have the sky selected. Now switch over to the other image with the nice sky. Use the marquee tool and make a selection which includes that sky, and then go up to the Edit menu and choose Copy. Then go to the original image where we selected the overcast sky and choose Edit, Paste Special, Paste Into. Over here we have a new layer with the contents of the clipboard, namely the nice looking sky, and it's being masked by the selection we made with color range. Notice that these are not linked. If I were to click here, I would establish a link between these two, and I don't want that. I want to have independent control over the layer, and I want the mask to remain exactly where it is. So I'll use the Move tool, and now I can move that layer, and the mask remains where it is. In this case, we have some of the hills and actually an entire building that don't belong in this scene. That's okay, we can stretch this image. Use Edit Free Transform, and then drag the image down to get rid of the hills, and drag the handle over to stretch the sky out, and then commit to the change. It's an attractive sky, all right, but the next thing we need to do is tone down its saturation. It's not quite believable on this overcast day to have such a blue sky. So to do that, click the Vibrance Adjustment layer here, and you can decrease the saturation. But notice that as I do that, it not only desaturates the sky, but it desaturates the building as well, and that's not what I want. Instead, I want this adjustment layer to affect only the layer below. So I'll click this button, and that creates a clipping group, which is indicated by this arrow and this underlined layer. This means now that the adjustment layer affects only this layer. And you can see that that is true. I can desaturate the sky independently from the building. So I'm going to decrease it down into this range around -40. So in this video, you learned how to replace the sky in one image using the sky from another, and you did this with color range and pasting into, and then you used the vibrance adjustment layer with a clipping group to desaturate the pasted sky.